Back in 2022, MLS announced a deal with Apple, where the MLS games would go behind a paywall on Apple TV starting in 2023. A 10-year agreement where MLS is getting paid $250 million a year, which is a lot of money, but nothing crazy for the US sports market. Regardless, that originally seemed like a good deal. A lot of money, access to a global market, and a tech giant backing the league. But of course, there are also concerns about placing the league that is trying to grow behind a paywall. Fast forward to today, and we are reaching the end of the third season of this agreement. The deal has had some positives, but plenty of negatives as well. Let's just say that going behind a paywall, while being a league that is trying to grow more and more, is just not a good thing. With that said, is the Apple deal slowly killing MLS, or when it's all said and done, it'll be proven to be a success? Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. And today, I want to talk a little bit or a lot about Major League Soccer. Because MLS PR recently released some numbers to close the 2025 season. The attendance numbers, viewership, and social media. So for this video, I'm going to be bringing two guests that have covered the league for years. Will from MLS Moves on YouTube and Fabian, a journalist that has been covering MLS forever. We will essentially be doing a deep dive into the numbers that they provided. Along with that, we'll go through some comments from Don Garber and much more. We will try our best here to draw a final conclusion and add the right context because the numbers at times can be misleading and they word it in a way that makes MLS look better, the same way some journalists word it in a way that make MLS look worse. And listen, this season or these numbers are not the end of it, right? They still have 7 years left in their contract. And when push comes to shove after the World Cup, things could get better, and you never know. Like this deal might turn out to be a success. But right now, the numbers have been sketchy, to say the least. And if you're a massive MLS fan, they have been concerning. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this deal between Apple and MLS? Has it been a success so far? Has it been a failure? Do you watch the league? Did you watch the league before the deal? Did you continue to watch the league after it went behind the paywall on Apple TV? Let me know in the comment section down below. And obviously, drop a like in this video. Sit back, relax. I'm not going to be asking for likes during it, so do it right now. Help us hit 1,000 likes. And don't forget to wipe after you get off the toilet, because I know half of you watch my videos while you're at the toilet. Okay, let's roll the intro. Let's bring in Will, Fabian, and talk about MLS. Okay, it's been a while since I've done a MLS specific video. I've done videos like MLS prospects. I've done videos on US players that are in MLS and American players that should go to Europe. I did video on Americans in Europe that should go back to MLS, but I haven't done a video specifically on MLS in a very long time. And I don't think I've talked enough or much about MLS, Apple TV. Has it been growing? Has it been declining? Has it been good? Has it been bad? And I think I brought two among the best that I could bring to talk about this topic, which I'm happy you both said yes. And I'll start with you, Fabian. Thank you very much for coming along.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It's honestly an honor. You know, I grew up watching this show, so about 5 years ago. No, but seriously, it's an honor to be here. I love our interactions over X and everything like that, and I've gotten to know you over the years, and I'm excited for the show. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that even though I've given you a hard time, we're still cool.
No, a lot of people need to remember that, that's just online. Like, I bet you we would go to a parrillada, like easily at the end of the day. So we all want to see the sport grow.
Don't worry. I treat my friends way worse than that. Don't worry. And Will, welcome aboard too. How you doing?
Good. I'm glad to be on here with you. We've been friends for a while now. You've been on my show, what, 3 times, I think? Maybe 2
I went
times?
there when you started, and then there were the 2 Alexi episodes there, I think.
2 Alexi episodes. Yeah. We brought you two together for the first time, which was nice. Yep. So it's nice to not just talk MLS, but be honest about MLS, because I think that's the only way anything good can come of this. So I'm glad that you're having me on, and I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah, and I think I'm certain that MLS plays a big role in soccer in America. It's the top division. They have the best infrastructure. They have the best players. They have the best academies in the United States. So every time we talk about it, it's quite important, and hopefully, it plays some role in people demanding more, or at least seeing what the league is doing in the positive terms, negative terms. But guys, this week they released these numbers, MLS, right? And very often we talk about, and many talk about online, how's the Apple deal doing? Are the numbers better? Is MLS actually growing, right? And I, I have opinions, and I'll talk about it throughout the video. But they released this MLS PR. This is their official post. This is not me. This is not a fan. They posted this, and I want to talk about each one. So obviously, they only talk about the positives, which is fine. I don't expect MLS to shit on MLS. I wouldn't expect that. But they put attendance, and I'm going to read it for y'all. MLS ticketing revenue reached an all-time high. I guess that's good for MLS, right? Even though that could just be that you're charging more for the same people. But the revenue's up. 11.2 million fans have attended MLS regular season matches in 2025. Across the past 3 seasons, MLS has averaged 11.2 million fans per year. So 11.2 million fans attended MLS in 2025. And the past 2 seasons, right? 3 seasons total on average, it's the same number. So let's start with that one right there. They're spinning that as a positive. My question to both of you, and we can go in whatever order you two want. The average attendance seems to be the same, even though I'll show an article here that shows that it has declined. The average is the same. We are reaching the 2026 World Cup, which is the largest soccer event in the history of this country. It's bigger than 1994, like it or not, just because of how much the sport has grown. You have in your league Lionel Messi, which is to most the greatest player of all time, and to some he's the second or third, but probably most likely most people agree he's the greatest soccer player of all time. You have Son, which is the greatest and most popular Asian player of all time. And you have a league that supposedly is growing a lot. Let's start with you, Will. Is this bad or good that the average attendance seems to be the same over the past few years?
Well, I think it's bad for this year because there's an extra team. There's 30 teams this year. And the team that just started playing this year, San Diego FC, they have a stadium of 35,000 seats. So and I'm pretty sure most people are excited about a new team. They nearly sell out every single game just because people are excited to watch this brand new club. So that would be 600,000 people who could attend games this year, like total. Maybe it's the same people, but you get what I'm saying. They're saying 11.2 million fans, but they're recounting people. I don't think that means that literally 11 million different people went to a game this year. I don't think that that's true. I think it's a little concerning, and I know what you're talking about with the article. They said 5%, the attendance is down 5%. I do feel like there's a little bit of fatigue and a little bit of people that are just they're not impressed, or their demands aren't met with what the league is and what they expect it to be at this point, especially before the World Cup in 2026. You want to see that number go up and go up and go up, especially like we talk about how big of a opportunity 2026 is for soccer in the United States, for Major League Soccer, everything, the USMNT. I think it's a little concerning. Like that's not the biggest red flag to me, the attendance. There's definitely bigger things that I'm more worried about. But I think that you would ideally want that number to keep going up every single year. And the question is, like, why is it going down 5% before the World Cup year? What caused this?
Yeah, what's interesting, Will, and I'll let Fabian talk about here in a second. They put here all the numbers of why it's down, and people can look at the numbers on screen for each team broken down by year: 2023, 2024, 2025. One thing that's noticeable is obviously FC Dallas. Their attendance is down drastically.
Yeah.
Well, drastically, I mean like 8,000 people on average, because they're renovating the
Renovation.
stadium.
Yeah, they're renovating their stadium. Yeah.
But what Will kind of brought up, that yes, that is down 8,000, but you also have San Diego right here adding 28 out of thin air. That's a big number. So you have a team, remove those 8,000. That means San Diego alone, if you remove those 8,000, added 20,000, and you're still down 5%. That is not a good look, because again, the hype should be growing, because the World Cup should be where MLS erupts. That should be the next step for MLS, right? So People can look on screen here. These are the average attendances per year from 2023, 2024, and 2025. And y'all can make your own conclusions out of it. So, Fabian, going back here, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I'm gonna play a little bit of devil's advocate here. I think the attendance in MLS has actually always been a pretty big bright spot, even in years prior. Messi, I always felt like MLS attendance has been somewhat better than many people would expect, because the game day experience on a Saturday, no matter the level of quality of soccer, has always been a fun one for a family. It's always been a fun one for a young adult, possibly looking to get a cheap sports ticket, right? I have a stat here that was given to me by MLS that says basically in 2025, MLS had more clubs average over 20,000 fans per match in any other soccer league in the world with 19. And I think we need to kind of keep this in mind too. MLS may be getting a little bit fatigued in that report that you shared with the sports SPJ, basically from Messi. I think a lot of those numbers come from a year that is Messi now in his third year. So you're maybe not going to get the crazy crowds you were getting in, for example, Orlando for Messi. You might not be getting the crazy crowds in Nashville for Messi
He
because
never plays in Orlando.
Oh, okay. Well, for example, Nashville, they've probably seen him play like 8 times now. So it's not as Messi crazy. Now take a look at a team from the West Coast like the San Jose Earthquakes. Messi's first time in San Jose, their attendance goes up by 12%. Now, yes, I think you always want to be achieving more and more growth, but personally, I don't think there's so much more you can kind of get from attendance. It's kind of like squeezing a lemon that's already been firmly squeezed. And I think a little bit of that Messi fatigue is kind of sitting in. Now, next year, I think we're going to look at a little bit of a different story. With Sun playing a full season, I think you're going to see those West Coast teams. Like I saw Portland went down a bit. Vancouver possibly it was on that list. I think a lot of these West Coast teams are going to see a jolt coming from Sun. Now, maybe it's not the same jolt you saw from Messi, but personally, I think attendance on this kind of slide is something that we shouldn't be too worried about. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, overall attendance, I think MLS does have more than NHL. So I don't think that's something.
Bigger stadiums too, right? So
Right. But I don't think that's something to be too worried about, in my opinion.
yeah, but here, let's go by parts. First thing, I think when we compare the average attendance of MLS with other countries, it's tricky because other countries, the amount of people that watch the games on TV is not even close. It's much higher than MLS, and Americans have more disposable income. And you said it yourself. I think MLS does a very good job in terms of making it a family-friendly environment. When they do that, a family will always bring 3, 4, 5. Right? There's the mom, the dad, the kids. While Latin America, for example, it's not very family friendly. I mean, anyone that's been to a game knows if you have kids, you probably don't want to take your kids to most games. There's some dangers involved with it.
Definitely.
Fortunately, MLS is really good at that due to MLS and due to United States sports culture, which is different from other countries, right? So it's tricky when you do that because you have the disposable income, culture, and safety that these events have here in the U.S. that you have here in the U.S. Now, the other thing to say is I agree with you because attendance hasn't really been an issue for MLS for a long time, actually. Attendance has not been an issue. But if you remove San Diego, because Will said it himself, like they added San Diego. If you remove San Diego, that's 400. They're based on their average attendance of 28,000. That's 400 something thousand less people, which would be a sharper decline than the 5% that we saw.
Yeah.
You are right. It's hard to go up. But if you're going down by almost double digits, which it doesn't reach double digits, but it's over 5%, so you're getting close to 10%, I do find that concerning. I do find that concerning.
I saw on that list that the Galaxy were near the bottom as well. And
Mhm.
the LA market is a tough one because they're so blessed with all those great sports teams. When a team is in a bad season and it's basically over by a third of the season in, they're gonna suffer a lot. Like they can put their money into so many other sports teams in LA. So that one to me is a bit of an outlier. Like the Galaxy shouldn't be that bad. I think that attendance will be fine next year. But you're right. I think without San Diego, it is very shocking. I have another stat here from MLS. It says total MLS attendance has increased about 12% since 2022. So given they added teams, and you can't add all the teams in the world until your stats look good, right? But I still think attendance was pretty strong even prior 2022, in my opinion, or before COVID. So that is a little, it's a little underwhelming to see only 12%, especially with Messi, filling up all those stadiums. But at least it's been increasing. Maybe it's a bit of a down year, too much soccer, in my opinion, the Club World Cup. And we might see some soccer fatigue, like Will was saying.
Yeah, but the soccer fatigue ain't going anywhere because now we even have European leagues coming to play here. So if
Right.
MLS doesn't wake up, that can go down. And also LA Galaxy, I quickly ran the numbers here. Their attendance went down on average 6,000 people per game. If you multiply that by the number of games, it's about 100,000 less people. San Diego still makes up for that very well, right?
Well,
San Diego. I'm just saying that I think the way they word it here, the average attendance, and people are going to keep calling me negative MLS or whatever.
Oh yeah, but you're valid in this.
I'm just putting out the numbers. You guys can let us know in the comment section down below. I'm definitely going to be reading it. I'm sure Fabian and will as well. I think the attendance numbers, I agree with Fabian. They're not bad. They're not bad numbers. The concerning part is that it's going down.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's fair.
Well, I was going to say too, even if you do get a Messi or Son bump, that's just one game. It's just one team. It's not like it's getting the entire West Coast. Everyone's going to games because he's on the West Coast or Son's on the East Coast. I mean, it's just one match. So I don't think even if you sold out your stadium, it's not going to. They play 17 home games. I don't think that one game is going to just drastically increase your season average as much as you would think.
With San Jose, they increased about 12%, and they did have Son and Messi. They had Messi at their PayPal Park, which is only 18,000. Son was at Levi's, which was a 45 or 50,000 game. But Bruce Arena also came in and gave this team hope. So you did see a little boost from the guys coming to San Jose, but also Bruce Arena coming in and having a good soccer team is always going to increase your attendance, in my opinion, a lot more.
But it'll also help, like for example, it'll give a slight boost to certain teams because having a 50,000 capacity game will give you a boost. But it also boosts like Inter Miami's home games for sure, and even LAFC. Well, even though LAFC doesn't really have attendance issues, so. But anyhow, attendance still good. Definitely not the most concerning part of this all. Let's go to viewership because this has always been the Achilles heel of MLS, right? People watching from home. It's always been an issue. And this is what they say. And Will, I'll let you talk first here too. MLS has averaged 3.7 million gross live match viewers per week across streaming and linear platforms, a 29% increase over 2024. Very weird way to word it is the first thing that I see when I hear it. You could just say how many people are watching per game, how many subscribers you have on Apple TV, whatever. But they said 3.7 million gross live match viewers per week across streaming and linear platforms. If you have 14 to 15 games per week, which is roughly what MLS has, that comes out to be 250 to 275,000 average viewers per game, depending on how you interpret these here. And that also goes against one thing you talked to me about, the unique viewers that Don Garber talked about months ago. So we'll start with this one, and then Fabian, I know he has a lot to say as well.
Let me just add this. I actually saw this in the email about this. It says, for the first time, MLS released comprehensive multi-platform viewership data, combining the audiences from Apple TV Season Pass, Fox Sport, TSN, RDS, Comcast, DirecTV, Amazon Prime, TikTok, and EAFC Mobile. So it looks like they may be combining all of those viewers in this stat, but that's up for interpretation.
So is that good or bad in your opinion? Bad,
definitely,
right?
Definitely bad because the TikTok view is just for Messi or just for Son, right? Because they have those Messi cams and Son cams.
And so, also, Fabian, and keep in mind too, like we talked about, like stadium, there's like a cap of how many viewers like Son and Messi can give you. But when it comes to TV, they can really inflate that because Messi and Son can draw 1, 2, 3 million people to watch them. and it really inflates it. But Will, with the what I just read to you and the piece information that Fabian just gave you, what are your thoughts on this? Because viewership has always been an issue, and it seems like it continues to be an issue. Is it getting worse with Apple? I think that's the real question.
It's definitely getting worse. I made a video a year ago after the abysmal MLS Cup final numbers. They did simulcast it on Apple TV, and then I think they did on Fox Sports 1. Maybe it was Big Fox. I think it actually might have been Big Fox, but there was only 450,000 people who watched the final on Fox for the MLS Cup final. Nobody cared to watch it. And, some people would say, well, Will, but, most people are watching on Apple TV. Yes, a lot of people didn't watch it on Fox, but they went out of their way to go into this app to watch it on there. Yes, people did watch on Apple TV, but I think if the numbers were that bad on Fox where people who don't subscribe to Apple TV could watch it, it's probably really bad on Apple as well.
Well, let's say the same amount watched at Fox. Sorry, Fox and Apple. 400,000 also watched. That's not good, right?
That's terrible. No, that's 800. That's below 1 million viewers for the biggest game of your season. Nobody cared, and it had two big markets. Had the Red Bulls, New York, had LA Galaxy. Nobody cared, and that was the first red flag for me. And the second red flag, Filippo, this is a big one. 2023, when they first started promoting this, they were giving it away to everybody. Hell, I think Favi had like 30 passes of MLS season pass for free. He was just giving out to everybody.
Why didn't you give me one?
You should have. If you wanted, you would have been the first one.
Do you have one for next season?
I mean, I can just add you to my family and friends.
There you go.
You can do that, right? You can add people to your family and friends.
Man, he was giving those like flyers. He was just giving out to everybody, right? Then last year, they were a lot more stingy. The league sent me a free pass too the first year, but last year they were really stingy. They weren't giving out free subscriptions to hardly anyone. But this year, after last year's numbers were so bad, they're giving it out if you make a $5 bet on DraftKings, T-Mobile customers again, all these gimmicky, weird things. They're just handing it out, giving it to anybody, which screams to me that they're not getting the viewers they need. So they're trying to do anything they can to get people to watch.
And season ticket holders get it, right?
And season ticket holders get it too. Yes, exactly.
Which those are the diehards of the league that would definitely pay for Apple because they want to watch it.
Correct.
Exactly. So they're doing everything, trying to reach as many people, giving it for free. And that's a red flag to me too, because it's like, okay, so that means people aren't subscribing to it. People aren't going out of their way to watch these games. And that just tells me, the Apple TV product isn't bad, like quality-wise, when you're watching the game. It looks a lot better than it did on ESPN Plus, 3 years ago when it was on there. But it doesn't matter if no one's watching it. Like nobody who cares if you're not watching the games, how good it looks or the camera angles or the 4K broadcast, or, the commentary being better, which it's not. But it doesn't matter if no one's watching. So that's a red flag. And it shows me that, if Messi hadn't came here, which all three of us agree gave them a bump, it's a short-term bump probably, but it was a bump, right? If the viewers aren't greater than this with Messi in the league, and, that number we read about Garber saying there's 120,000 unique viewers, which we don't know what the hell that means. Like you said, I mean, we have a kind of an idea, but like, am I counting as 2 unique viewers?
Do you want me to quickly explain it for
anyone
watching? Yeah, I can quickly explain it. Unique viewers, it really depends on what he meant when he worded it. But for anyone watching this, let's say I have a live stream on YouTube. And when the live stream is over, you see 20,000 views, something like that. Let's say it's a live stream of a game and you don't want to hang out with me the whole time. So you come in for the pregame, you come in at halftime, and you jump in again when when I don't know, the US scores, even though that's rare these days, but the US scores and you come in. You count as 3 views for that video of the 30 or 20,000 views, but you are 1 unique viewer. Right now, mind you, him saying unique viewers is very good. That's probably the best way to assess it. The problem is MLS has a lot of games at the same time, so it could be misleading because if I hop in and watch a little bit of each game, which I'm sure many people do, unless your team is playing, there's some good odds that you'll hop through a few games. And if you're an analyst or a journalist, you might actually hop through every game. So you might count as a unique viewer for each game, but you're the same person. Right. So it made me wonder when he said the unique viewers, Will, that you mentioned, why he used that specific wording. Right. Because Don Garber is definitely media trained. He knows what he's saying. It's all calculated. He's more of a politician than anything else at this point. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just the way he talks, right? So I don't know. Fabian or Will, if you have anything else to say, you can do so.
Well,
if not, I'll let Fabian take over.
I was going to tell one quick story. I had an agent reach out to me at the end of last year, and he has several coaches, players in the league, so he's just kind of like bouncing around, right? He doesn't get to watch every game. It's hard to. Maybe he's 5 unique viewers. I don't know, unless he didn't get to watch all the games.
Maybe he's 10 unique viewers. Yeah.
Maybe he's 10. Maybe he's 10. But he was doing like the MLS recap show afterwards, and he said that when it was on, it was last week's show, not this week's show, when he was watching it. And he was like, what the hell's going on? So he went to Twitter to look up and see if anyone noticed that this was last week's recap being broadcasted now. And he said not a single person was posting about it at all. Nobody was. So that told him that not many people were watching this, because no one even noticed that they were playing last week's show to break down what happened this week. No one even noticed. So that was a red flag. And, I've heard some also too, real quick, I've heard some people tell me, this is like hearsay, that they've heard some numbers for these games were as low as like 10,000 viewers.
Wow, less than Tactical Manager.
Less than you. Yeah, you're more popular than some MLS teams. I don't remember which team it was, but yes, he heard that a game got less than 10,000 viewers last year in 2024, which is a red flag.
Yeah. Just quickly before we even continue, just Fabian, just to add to that, we're obviously going to be positive about a few things with MLS. We're trying to be critical here just to show that the league has a lot of work to do, and maybe this Apple deal was not a good deal, despite the production. I think the coverage has improved dramatically. We're talking about the numbers. I guess as a viewer, my experience has improved. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But Fabian, I'll let you talk here, but I also want you to answer one question as you're talking about the viewership. You have Messi in your league. You have Son in your league. You have incredible stadiums. You have tremendous growth. You have a World Cup coming up to your country. If MLS doesn't take off with all of that, what is it going to take?
Yeah, no, it's a question that I think about all the time, actually. Especially, we'll get into this later, of how kind of the media still sees MLS, right? It's a question that I think about as a journalist, as someone looking to make their name in this world. It is something that crosses my mind often, and I'm gonna be critical about MLS on this too. And I think the Apple deal, and I've been on Will's show many times talking about this, I think it's been a failure, and I realize it's been a failure because of the gateway to entry. It's not only hard enough to go ahead and download Apple TV or to know Apple TV. You have to pay $89.99, or you have to you have to become a sports gambling addict to go ahead and get it for free. Like it should be for free anyway. I mean, there is already a gateway to entry by downloading Apple TV on a non-Apple phone or anything. And in my opinion, when that came out that you had to pay an extra $90 or $79.99 to get access to all the MLS games, that right there to me felt like a complete failure, because the extra money you're making is not going to outweigh the extra eyeballs you could have initially got. And maybe with those extra eyeballs that you would have had as this free, live service, the free live sports available on Apple TV, maybe somebody watches Shrinking and they for free are able just to hop into the Portland-Seattle game. That to me was worth a lot more than somebody paying $79.99 for something they know absolutely nothing about. So personally, I thought the gateway to entry of $80 was always a failure. Now, the production, in my opinion, the shows has been very good. All the extra content that you wouldn't have seen on ESPN or Fox is great, like the Unbreakable series. You get to really know these players behind the scenes. I think that's awesome. Now, that should be free too. I think having all this content locked behind a paywall was a horrible idea. I think if you're going to try to, your league's still growing. I mean, I hate to say it, you're not the Premier League. You're not Serie A. You're not Champions League. People don't want to pay for watching live sports anyway. People pirate almost every single NFL football game. Like, let's be completely honest.
I don't. No.
You're okay. So you're buying the Sunday ticket for how much?
No, I don't watch it.
Okay, well, that's fair, right? But you get what I'm saying? Like having another barrier, I think, kind of killed the momentum of this Apple deal because it was the first live sports on this Apple deal. And then on top of that, you have Netflix coming out with, hey, watch the Tyson Fury or watch the Tyson, Jake Paul fight for free. You know, like for free. I mean, it's not free because you have to have Netflix, but who doesn't have Netflix? You know, my whole thing is, okay, I'm sorry, Tag. Yeah, you're really good. I mean, you're only watching Paramount Plus to watch Christian Pulisic on the Champions League.
Yeah,
Wednesday,
I'd say
right?
Peacock and Paramount Plus, the Premier League too. Yeah.
So that's just my point is I think adding more barriers of entry, in my opinion, made that a failure. And now the numbers that Will brought up for the final, it's just showing you that people kind of gave up on watching it on linear, and they just understand that you have to watch it on Apple TV. But personally, that wasn't, New York being a big market is a little controversial because it should be a big market, but they don't have powerhouse teams in New York, in my opinion, where they spend a lot of money. Yes, they get some superstars, but they should be spending more. And then LA Galaxy losing their best player the week before was hurting that final too.
I mean, but wait. That right there, I have to question it. If my team isn't, look, if this is not going to happen probably, but if the United States makes it to a World Cup final,
Yeah.
or not even that, let's remove the World Cup. If we make it to a Gold Cup final, which we normally do, and Christian Pulisic gets injured before, that does not affect my interest in that game. I'm still heavily invested in it. You could injure the entire starting 11. I'm still going to be interested in that game. I that's what I don't get.
But let me tell you this:
let me say,
if Argentina loses Messi, they definitely lose viewership the next day.
In the World Cup final?
No.
Look, Jalen, or I think it was Jason Tatum went down with a Achilles injury, and there was people not watching the rest of the NBA Finals because of it.
Well, I mean, that's not a real fan. It doesn't make sense. Like if Argentina makes it to a Copa America final, Argentinian fans, they're going to watch it with or without Messi.
Yes and no. I mean, there is a lot of people that just like players, right? So that's kind of a tough thing too. How do you quantify that as a viewer or not?
But you're talking about Messi fans watch. That's the problem right there, right?
Yeah.
You have a Messi fan that watches MLS, and then you have a fan of the team that should watch the team no matter who's playing. I mean, that's what I don't get. Yeah, of course. Like, if you root for a team, you have a favorite player that you probably enjoy watching. But I'm going to be honest with you, Palmeiras is the team that I follow the closest in terms of club. National team, it's obviously the United States and Brazil. I care about the starting 11 to win the game, but once the game starts, I don't give a shit who's playing. I just want to win the game. So, I mean, sure, like, do I prefer to watch the U.S. with Pulisic on the field? Yeah, I like watching Pulisic. So I'd rather, and he also gives us higher odds of winning. But if he doesn't play, my interest is the same.
But Americans are obsessed with superstars, and that's a known fact, right? Like, there is people that just stand LeBron or they just stand Steph Curry more than whatever team they're on. And LeBron is actually a great example of that because he's moved multiple teams. But what I was trying to say was basically, I think the barrier of entry hurt MLS more than helped it right before the World Cup. So I do agree that the Apple TV deal has been very disappointing with that aspect. But I still think there could be improvement. For example, I have a story. I have a friend that he literally came to me and said, this might be a good segue, that there's basketball games on, there is MLB World Series on, there's hockey on. And I'm like, yeah, there's also MLS Cup playoffs with the best player in the world playing. And he's like, yeah, but how do I watch that? And I'm like, you have an Apple phone, right? You just put on the app and click the game. And he's like, really? That's all I have to do? And I'm like, yeah, it's free. I also think there isn't enough marketing by Apple on this side either. You can easily push a notification to non-soccer fans to tell them, hey, Messi's playing in an MLS Cup playoff right now completely for free if you just click this link. And people have sent me push notifications, but those are MLS journalists that are sending me those.
I get the notifications, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But basically, I think they need to be more broad with their notifications instead of I think with just people that have liked soccer on their apps before. And I think if you watch Ted Lasso, anybody who's watched Ted Lasso should be getting a push notification that Messi's in the playoffs, and it's free. You should watch it.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Doesn't mean the person's a soccer fan, but they might be interested. They're watching a TV show that the whole plot is soccer. So,
And I think that Apple hasn't done their part either. And that's why I think it's been a failure on both sides.
I think also to add one thing, I think the MLS Cup final had less viewers than the USL Championship final on linear, which it should not be happening if MLS is a growing league, the top league, and by far the richest one. Am I right about that? I'm pretty sure, right? The CBS numbers compared to Fox.
And the NWSL final too. I think it had lower viewers in both.
That's not good.
NWSL is a crazy fandom though. Like
no, it is, but I still think MLS. I still think MLS should be doing better. I just wanted to say one thing.
Also, too. MLS is pouring more money than them.
It is. It has way more money. One thing too that I've always said about MLS is the players make the clubs, whereas in South America and Europe, the clubs make the players.
Yeah,
like that's a big problem. Like the players should never be bigger than the club. And as big as Messi is, was he bigger than Barcelona?
He's bigger than PSG.
No, PSG kicked him out essentially. Like the fans didn't give a shit who Messi was.
I would say he was still bigger than PSG. So was Neymar when he went.
Not by the fan stand. They did not tolerate BS from Messi and Neymar. Like those two players literally hated life there because they were not treated as something special. I mean, look, of course, if Messi goes to play for, let's say, News Old Boys, right, his childhood club, and he goes to play Flamengo in Brazil, they're going to sell out because they want to see Messi, but they want to see Flamengo beat Messi. They're not there to root for Messi. There's some... I swear, man, there's some MLS fans that were happy when Messi scored on their team.
They were. I mean, there's players swapping jerseys with him, asking for pictures after he beat their ass after games.
The swap jersey I have less of an issue with because I get the picture's a little weird. You're a professional, but the swap jersey, too? The what?
He's getting autographs too. That's kinda...
no, that's weird. The swap jersey, I kind of get it.
This is kind of an enigma, though.
But
I would say that wouldn't happen with Son.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. Messi is Messi, but it's just weird of how, like, whatever. We went through that. MLS has this gimmick of getting like a superstar. They did that. They've done this since they've created. And then Beckham also was a big one, right? That changed the league. I personally, as critical as I am of MLS, I think MLS has grown past that. They don't need these gimmicks. They need to strengthen the club, and not the player that's in the league. Like strengthen the brand, not the player. But that's not how it goes. Let's talk about quickly the digital part, right? They had attendance, viewership, and digital. And then I want to talk about the perception of MLS with mainstream media, which is a big of a problem too, because you would hope it would have changed by the time the World Cup is here so MLS can take off. That also hasn't changed. We're going to put a clip in a report that they're essentially disrespecting and mocking MLS a little too much, even by my standards. Digital, they say 13.7 billion impressions across league and club social media accounts. So that's 30 teams and social media, their main one, 13.7 billion. That's a lot of impressions. The highest on record and a 17% increase year over year. 109 million followers across MLS channels, a more than 10% year over year increase. And MLS digital footprint continues to expand. Okay, there's a lot to digest here. Those are big numbers. And obviously Messi and Son drive a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you guys one question. I can even put this on screen in case people don't believe me. What do you guys think are the amount of impressions I get on X in 1 year?
A lot.
No, just take a guess. Just take a guess. You have the MLS numbers, 13.7 billion. And that's 30 clubs. That's MLS's main account. So how much you think I get? Just take a guess, and I'll put it on screen.
I want to say about 700 million. I think you do a lot.
That's a little too much. That's a little too much, but yeah.
You probably get like 500,000 a day.
No. Impressions year over year from what I'm seeing here, 135 million in a year. So, and again, myself compared to a professional club, it should be nothing. I shouldn't be anything close to a professional club because they have all these athletes, fan base. They're the show, right? They're the actual show. I talk about them. right? If you think about it, I talk about them. So when you put it into that and that's only my X impressions.
But you probably, I'm going to give you a little credit on this. You probably have the biggest fan base out of any creator I know in this soccer space.
Yes, but I shouldn't be competing with a league, or shouldn't be. I shouldn't be even comparable to a league with Messi. That's my point, right?
What do you think the numbers should be? Like, what do you think their digital impression should be then? Like, what number would be more like you're like, okay, that's actually pretty good.
Well, let's do a quick calculation here. There's 31 accounts, right? If you count the MLS main account and then one for each team. So let's just do the 109 million divided by 31. That is 3 million followers per team or per account. And that's counting MLS. What do you think is a good number?
3 million, and you have like what, 80,000 now? Something
No,
like that?
No. I'm talking about followers right now. I'm talking about followers.
Guys.
Oh,
I think that 109 million means MLS channels only, not Inter Miami being included in that.
MLS is 109 million?
There's no way.
There's no way, Fabian. There's no way, because they have what? They have like, how many do they have on X? Like 3 million?
TikTok might be a crazy number.
But they would have to have like almost 100 million on.
Yeah, there's no way.
No, it has to be all of them added up, because look, they have 3.5. MLS's main account on X has 3.5 million. On YouTube, they have less than that. TikTok, let's say they have
10.5. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all of them added. It has to be all the clubs. I don't think 3.5 million is that bad on average. Obviously, there's Inter Miami pushes it up a little bit with Messi. I'm assuming LAFC got a bit of a bump with Son.
A little bit, yeah.
And all that, the same way like LA Galaxy, with if Instagram was popular back then when Beckham was here, the way it is today, it would have got a massive bump. I don't know.
So alone with Miami in Instagram and TikTok, we're looking at 30 million alone in just 2 accounts.
Say it again.
Yeah, so just in Inter Miami on Instagram and in Inter Miami on TikTok, we're looking at 30 million in that number alone.
Yeah, but all the other ones are tiny. Like you get the Rapids, it might be irrelevant, right? So so again, 109 million might be you literally put the biggest one right there. That's the biggest one. So 109 is probably all of them. Like they wrote it there. They said it. League and club social accounts. For the impressions, I'm assuming for the followers, it's the same. So club and league. So Will, to your point, I don't think the number of followers there is bad. 3.5 million for each one MLS. You probably would have to compare it to other American leagues to actually put out something. But again, MLS, I can't compare MLS to NFL and NBA. It just, those are more popular.
NFL accounts don't have that type of footprint. So I actually think MLS is doing a good job on socials. I think people love MLS highlights, but they don't love watching MLS games. And I think that's where the disconnect is.
Yeah, so in terms of that, the 13.7 billion impressions, my overall point about it is it's probably not bad. It's just not something so impressive, but it's the way you word it, right? If you go to, I don't know, like to my dad that is completely oblivious to what social media is, and you tell him there's 13.7 billion impressions, he's going to be blown away. He's like, oh my God, that's like more impressions than people on earth. That's incredible. But it's just something that is good and it's increasing. But again, social media is tricky because when you have players of a Messi and Son caliber, it's going to bump it up. Like Son is the most popular soccer player in Asia.
This should be MLS's bread and butter because of the baseball rules where they weren't allowed to post certain things and highlights and things like that. Baseball really fell off in terms of social media. NFL has an older fan base that doesn't really use social media. The only league that can actually go toe-to-toe with MLS, I think, is basketball. And basketball, personally, was king for social media. And I think this is where MLS could really, exceed other leagues. And I think these show me that it is trying to exceed it, and it will, but it could be better too.
Well, I was going to say something. Well, I was going to say this real quick. This is 13.7 billion impressions across every single social media platform. You said you have 180 on just X alone, right?
135 million, yes.
That's just X alone. So we're not counting your YouTube, your Instagram, all of that. So I just ran the numbers, and we agreed like 3 million average followers per team. There's more and less, but that's what the average would be based on this 109 million followers, right? That means that teams are averaging 456 million impressions across all platforms.
That's with Messi, right? Inflating it.
Yes.
I have the platforms here. It's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and X.
So what you're saying is there are literally teams in MLS because Messi inflates that are getting less impressions than Tactical Manager. That's not good.
Probably more than a couple.
Yeah. I'm trying to be nice because Messi
Yes.
definitely pushes it higher, and I can assure you that Son also pushes it higher. So there are teams like probably the Colorado Rapids, Vancouver.
I mean, to be honest with you, I grew up a San Jose Earthquakes fan. I could probably say there's just as much Tactical Manager fans than there is San Jose Earthquake fans at some certain point.
Well, they average didn't they average 20,000 people per game this stadium? So I think there's more San Jose fans than that Tactical Manager.
But like, let's say a World Cup match, you might be getting a lot of viewers for a watch along, you know?
Yeah, it just depends on what you define as fan, right? Because what I meant was they have like 20,000 people paying to see them. I don't have 20,000 people paying to see me, right? So I think in that sense, no. But it is fair to say that my digital footprint is probably better.
Yeah,
that one, yes. But no, in terms of fans, they need, if they don't have more fans than me, they're going bankrupt. Like,
let me just look up the San Jose Earthquakes YouTube subscribers. You're gonna dwarf it. That's just the honest truth.
Sure, that I agree with. But listen, Will, let me put one thing here, because we talked about how the World Cup is coming up, and that's where MLS should have really used to take off. And Fabian's point is very good. They maybe should have tried to make Apple TV free for at least till the World Cup to really take off, and then start charging, because then you already have everyone engaged. I think that ship has sailed, because we're like 7 months away from the World Cup. I don't think anything they can do right now would move fast enough to have an impact for the World Cup. The other issue MLS currently faces, and this one is probably not an Apple TV problem. This is something that's always happened, and going to Apple didn't make it worse. It also didn't make it better. It's that MLS is very much disrespected, right? Among mainstream media. Some people are going to say, oh, we don't care. Like, MLS fans will say that they don't care, but you should care, right? You should care, like, how respect you are. Because we talked about before we started recording, NHL's numbers are still better than MLS for the most part, but it's not that big of a gap as it once was. It's not, really isn't. And MLS is catching up, but NHL is respected. MLS is still not respected. Like, for example, this clip here, so I don't get like a copyright strike. I don't even know. This is like, pardon the interruption or whatever. I don't watch this show, but I think people watch it. And he was asked if he was going to watch the Inter Miami versus Nashville playoff game. And Inter Miami, mind you, has someone called Lionel Messi. And Nashville is a strong MLS side. Inter Miami is a strong MLS side. And this was the response.
I got 3 TV screens, as you know. Right. None of them will have that. Okay. I'll have the World Series large. I'll have 2 NBA games flanking. I may click over to watch your boy wearing pink. I may do that.
So that's how they see it. And they're going to say, this is not how everyone sees it. But then you see, like, a few days later, an article from, I think it was Front Office Sports. It's more of a business, social media, like website and everything. And they were talking about this. Today, October 27th, is the 32nd sports equinox in history. All 4 major U.S. men pro sports leagues plus MLS. That's how much they disrespect MLS. Look, I love making fun. I'm a professional hater. I'll hate on anything, not just MLS, but just write all 5 major leagues, right? MLS is the top soccer league, a sport that is very popular in this country. By the way, soccer on its own is more popular than hockey in this country in terms of people playing in general, right? And even, I guess, probably even watching.
And attendance.
Everything. So the fact that they put all 4 major U.S. men pro sports leagues, and then they write plus MLS, that is so unnecessary, right? It's disrespectful.
Yeah. What I would say about this is they probably can't say 32nd if it's with MLS, and they're too lazy to go back and see how many 5 equinoxes there's been. So I think this is something where maybe MLS deserves the credit to be included with the top 5 pro leagues. But I think this is a case where a lot of these companies don't like to do that kind of back work. I mean, they get assigned to post something and they're still having managers that are, old media heads. And this is something where you either do the research yourself or you get told to post something. And then you want to add plus MLS to kind of make sure that the masses don't get mad. Because if you look at Bleacher Reports, they didn't put 30-second. They just put, this is the sports equinox of all 5. And I think I kind of think this is a dumb thing, because why does it matter, right? Like, what's this sports equinox? But you're right. MLS did get disrespected in that. I think that this is something where I take a bit of offense, because this is something where I cover this league, and it is a professional sports league. But this is something where social media managers need to do better too, and media companies need to do better, because I bet you anything, front office sports is going to love when Messi lifts MLS Cup, and they're going to post something about it. And I kind of even made a tweet saying that they shouldn't be able to, because that's something where you're disrespecting it, but at the same time you want to up it once it's going to get you impressions. No,
Well, they had me on for the Copa America final after front office sports. They had me on, so clearly they care about covering soccer. Messi was in that final, the Copa America, the one that they invaded the stadium and everything. So they clearly care about it. Now, let me ask you one thing. Will, I'll let you go first on this one, because I often hear MLS fans, more of like the crybaby ones. They'll go and they'll say something like, "It doesn't matter what some old talking heads on TV or front office sports thinks about the league." Let me ask you one thing: does it matter or does it not matter? Obviously, in the big picture, it doesn't matter, but does it matter?
Yeah, I think it does, because that's how a lot of people perceive not necessarily soccer, but like just the league in general in the United States. And, you said that was a subliminal towards MLS. They literally have the word major in they're called Major League Soccer, and they didn't, consider that to be one of the major leagues. Yeah, I think it is a deal, because, some people do, like, these people do have some pull over certain fans. And if they're just negatively shitting on the league, it doesn't help it out, because it already has a bad rap with a lot of people who do like soccer. So they're just going to hear this like, oh, well, I'm not going to watch that. I'm going to go watch the Premier League, or if I am going to watch soccer or Serie A, or, so on and so forth. So I do think it does matter. Like, it's not the big, like, I think a big soccer channel saying the MLS is shit does carry more water. But some of these people that do watch these old, like you said, you don't watch PTI. I don't watch PTI. And they even followed up the next day and said Taylor Twellman texted them and like kind of got into their ass about it and said that they should go to a game, which they're not going to go to a game. It could be free. They could have the best seats in the stadium and they still probably wouldn't
I thought Taylor
go.
Twellman retired. He's still working.
Yeah, I think he is
He's
actually
working for MLS, but he still had the contacts of PTI. But I want to add into this too. The clip is actually cut because he also says afterwards that he will watch some La Liga on this weekend, which ESPN does own the La Liga rights. So I actually think the ESPN thing's a little bit more political than the front office sports thing. I actually think that MLS hasn't been displayed on SportsCenter top 10 because they don't own the rights anymore.
But Fabian, you're right. Of course, they would do that. But the thing is, if the league is highly respected, like La Liga that you mentioned, or let's say the Premier League, they don't own the Premier League. If this guy acts this way for the Premier League, he is going to get clowned.
Oh, 100%.
Right? MLS, that's not what happened.
He actually said the boy in pink. So I actually think that that's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on because he said something that I don't think anybody should say on air because that could be convoluted. But I still think the disrespect for MLS was there, but I think it actually had to do with the sport, and then he caught himself.
No, it is true. But if he does that about the Premier League, that is seen as the best soccer league in the world, or the Champions League, or the World Cup,
the World Cup would be crazy. Yeah,
he would be clowned. He would be clowned. Well, it's not the case with MLS where people are just like, like the fans will go, it doesn't matter what some old head thinks. And some people, I thought it was kind of funny actually the way he behaved with that. But the thing with MLS, the crybaby portion of the fan base that just whines about everything, they will say that I am killing interest for MLS, while also saying that what other people think doesn't matter. That to me doesn't because they'll go on and say that when I criticize MLS, I'm screwing over the league and people are not going to be watching it, and I'm playing a role, which I don't think it is. I think people are smart enough to make their own decisions, and if they like it, they like it. They're not going to listen to what I say. And if that's the case, then these guys talking negatively about MLS, if I affect the league, they affect it too.
I think their audience is a lot older, and I think that audience is not going to watch Messi play for Miami, even if Messi he is the best player in the world, but even if Messi, was able to, I mean, he can run through 12 guys, and we saw it through Montreal. I don't think no amount of good soccer will get the audience that they have watch soccer. And I think the hate towards soccer actually stems a lot deeper than just hate for MLS. And that's an argument for another day. That's another tinfoil hat argument. I think America's hatred for that sport runs deeper than MLS not being the best league in the world. I think there's a lot of people that like sports in America that just won't like soccer for some weird reason. You can say whatever reason you want to, but there is people that won't touch soccer, any soccer, with a 10-foot pole unless it's a World Cup, which everybody forgets their hatred towards soccer when it's a World Cup. And it's something that has always puzzled me. But I get it. The World Cup final was the best soccer game I've ever seen. So I totally get not wanting to watch mediocre soccer or subpar soccer. But my argument to that is college football is so popular and it can get so many casuals. MLS should look at the college football market and see how can we replicate this in a way to where, yes, we might not be the Premier League, we might not be La Liga, but we could still, compete on an excitement basis. And I've been on Will's show before talking about what the things they could do to do that. And I think we could all agree that starts with the salary cap. And I think we can talk about that for another day. But yes, I think the college football model would be a good model that MLS should follow.
So maybe MLS should focus more on the domestic market and not global, because Don Garber loves to talk about the global market with Apple. To have the college football experience that you talked about, not even experience, but maybe passion from fans or grow in that sense, you should focus on the American fans. And I think that what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to find some fans in South Korea to go watch Son and some global fans to watch Messi, guys that might not stick around after. Sure, they'll be able to sell Messi jerseys forever, the same way the Cosmos are able to still sell Pele jerseys.
Yeah.
But what has that done for them, right, over the long run? Will, any final thoughts before we go? Just wrap things up with this question. Is the Apple deal killing MLS?
Yeah, I think it's been bad for the growth of the league, especially right before the World Cup. It feels like, and I've talked to you about this, I've talked to Favi about this on the phone, that I feel like soccer in general in this country is missing an opportunity, not just MLS, but I feel like the national team up until recently might be failing to capitalize on a big opportunity. I just feel like we are taking this huge, huge moment and just shitting the bed in total, but MLS is doing this too. There's a lot of fans they probably missed out on because of the Apple TV deal. They're probably going to miss out on some next year. Now, are they going to get some new signups after the World Cup? They probably will, but is it going to be enough to make a difference? Are people going to sign up for free to watch the games for free? Some people are so lazy they don't even want to sign up for something for free. And one other thing, too, we forgot to mention about MLS and Apple TV is that Apple TV and Apple TV Plus and MLS Season Pass, they're all different things. You don't have to have Apple TV Plus to watch MLS Season Pass. You can just sign up for Season Pass, but that really wasn't explained very well, and it was very confusing. A lot of people didn't get like what the protocol was or what you're supposed to do to be able to watch the games. So they did a piss poor job of like explaining that to people. But yes, the deal has been a disaster. It's the fourth or fifth smallest, well, not smallest, but like of all the major streaming platforms, it's the smallest one that there is. It's smaller than Hulu, Disney Plus, Netflix, all those. And so you're putting it on the smallest platform out of those, and then also confusing how to do it. It's not been good, and it's hurt the league a lot. And I think this could be something we don't really see the true effects of until years down the road of how bad this has been for the league.
Fabian, is the deal killing MLS or not?
I think it was monumental at the time. I like the clause that they can pull out of it. Because let's say if they go to Netflix and offer, a package that could benefit. I know Will said this on his show many times. This is actually a Will take, but if they pulled out of the Apple deal and went to a place like Netflix, they would increase their viewership by a boatload.
Does
And
Netflix want them though?
exactly. That's another question too. You could find another. I think linear is dying personally. I still think that going to digital platforms was a good move, executed not in the way that I liked personally. I thought the barrier of entry was a horrible move, and I think it's still not over yet. I'm a little more optimistic. I think if you go ahead and take care of after the World Cup, I think you could still capture a whole bunch of fans after this World Cup, just like they did in '94 with starting the league. So I think the bread and butter is going to be after this World Cup. And I still think there's time. And I still think if maybe they find a way to change the schedule, change a platform, or make it free, I still think there's time to kind of react to what this is all done.
I like your optimism, but I don't buy it. Like, I'm sorry. It's just like,
It's fair.
I'm not seeing them doing it. If you, because your optimism, it's probably what they need right now. But if I was seeing them move those pieces of everything you said, like, you know what, next year from January to July, it's free. All the way to the World Cup, it's free. And then after you have to sign up, and you were seeing some different moves, I would believe it. But it's just it just doesn't.
The playoffs are free right now. And that was a pretty big move.
But they need to make the whole season free. They need guys to stick around. The playoffs are fun and people are going to enjoy it. They're the best part of the season. Actually, the best part of the season are the first few weeks and the playoffs. That's how I usually see it. There are moments in between where teams have already made the playoffs, some are already out. That starts to get a little boring. But the first few weeks and the playoffs are the best parts of the season. We'll see what they do from here. I think it is concerning how the numbers are. I agree more with what Will said in that sense, and I'm not too optimistic about it until I actually see some moving pieces. And even though people see me as the MLS hater, I hope they figure things out. It's better for all of us, right? Anyone that's a soccer fan in this country, MLS doing better is good. And a lot of the criticism that I have, despite people seeing it one way, it's more of like, I hope the league gets on track, because I don't think they are. Everyone, thank you very much for watching. Go follow Fabian on X. The handle is right there next to his head, or a little below his head. And go follow Will on X and YouTube as well. It's the same one that's down below his head right there, MLS Moves. I'll make sure to put it in the description as well. But again, the handles are right there. Go follow them. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.